Hey there! Today we'll have a look at this pen. This pen is a GAMA Hawk and it was sent to me by Kevin from Fountain Pen Revolution. You can buy this pen there for $44 and it is a handmade pen. You have to bear that into, or take that into account, or bear it in mind as you desire. And I think this is an interesting pen. The reason being that it is handmade, which is cool, and it's also fairly large. It is not one of the ultra huge Indian fountain pens, but it is definitely a bigger one. I'm going to cover the parts of the pen, tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and then I'll do a writing sample. Okay. Look at the pen. The top here, the finial, has basically nothing. It is a black material, quite nice to the touch, has a bit of texture, and you have a simple clip. Alright, clip is on the tight side, but it definitely works. And you have this nice tapered down barrel, and everything is nicely rounded. I really enjoy that. It's for a handmade pen. It's well put together. There are no sharp edges or anything. I think it works very well. Unscrew the pen, the cap. One thing I want to show you is that on the barrel here, it has the word GAMA, or maybe you're supposed to say GAMA, I don't know, I'm sorry. And then there is the section. Section is a more shiny material. You have the threads there, which are not super sharp. Big section, it's definitely a fat one. And then you have all kinds of nibs, and this is the optional Flex Nib. It's a big nib, number 6 Flex Nibs. You don't see them that many. Don't see that many of them, I should say. And you have an ebonite feed, also nice because that means you can put other nibs on and heat set it easily. It's an eyedropper filled pen, and you can imagine this has quite a capacity of ink. So I think that's it's nicely made. Now in hand, it is a bigger pen, as I said. If you desire so to do it, you can actually post it, but then it becomes really big. And unposted, I think it's very pleasant to hold. I think let's go on to things I like about it. Flex Nib that writes out of the box in a modern pen, that's always a miracle. I had no issues with this really. You will see that in the writing sample. There is railroading, as you get with pretty much any Flex Nib that is modern, but it started up easily. It didn't really have a lot of issues with it. And I like it. I like a bigger pen, well balanced, well put together. What I don't like so much is that it has a very fat section. For me, that's not really an issue, so it's not really a problem for me. But I can see that if you have slightly smaller hands, then this would be too much. Of course, then maybe you shouldn't buy a very large pen, but I can see that would be an issue. Apart from that, I don't have so many issues with it. I like that it's an ebonite feed. I think especially for flex nibs that typically works well, better than plastic feeds do. So that's great. What I will say is that I got quite some ink actually in the cap, so I don't really see any leakage, but I do see that the area, I don't know if you can really see that if the camera would pick that up, but the area around the nib is pretty wet, so maybe there is a little bit of ink seepage if it gets twirled around too much. Still, I think this is a neat pen. It would be really cool as a piston filler for some reason, I think, because it would have a nice, it even looks a bit like there is a piston turning knob going on there, but it's not. Just an eyedropper filled pen, big ink capacity. I think it's cool. So Kevin, thanks a lot for sending me this pen. Dimensions of the pen, as well as high resolution pictures, can be found on my website, sbrebrown.com. Next thing we should do is a writing sample, and that's all let's do it. Hope this was interesting and useful so far, and I'll gladly see you later. Bye bye. Okay, so here we go with the GAMA Hawk. The nib is flexy. And the ink, as far as I remember, is Schaefer Script Black. Okay, now, in everyday writing, bit of feedback, fine nib. but nice rich flow. Do fast writing, although it gives some feedback, guys, it's really not scratchy. Bear in mind that the camera microphone is very sensitive to scratchy type noises so up close. But it's not an unpleasant feeling, I find. It's just, you feel the feedback because it's just a fine nib. As you can see, no skips really. And as to wetness, I'm applying absolutely no pressure here, just kind of letting the pen write by itself. But you can see it's a really wet writer. So it's very cool, especially for me if you like such a thing like me. Line variation, I'm deliberately pushing it here to see when we start to get railroading. And we do get that, but I think we got quite a bit before we actually start to see railroading. I shouldn't have stopped there. Let's... trying to prime the feet a bit. So you do need to slow down a bit. So it's trying to find the right sweet spot in speed, because if you slow down too much it'll also railroad. You can see it is a bit prone to railroading, a bit more than I recalled. I'm also pushing it quite hard here. If you don't push it all the way to its limits, then you see it keeps up a lot better. So I think that's not at all bad. Now if you like reverse writing, this is scratchy for sure, then you go to an extra fine or so. Okay, thanks a lot to Kevin from Fountain Pen Revolution for sending me this pen for review. I really enjoy it. Guys, I hope this was useful, and I'll gladly see you later.